Andrew Holland is with us, Chief Executive Officer at Avendus Alternate Strategies. Andrew, great to have you with us here. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Your run-through of the earnings that we've got so far, Andrew. I think, and I looked at the numbers of NSE 200 companies till the day before yesterday, out of the NSE 200 group, about 65 had reported numbers. I will put out detailed data later. I mean, there are many more disappointments as compared to surprises. I mean, one pocket which clearly comes out as a surprise is life insurance. Apart from that, not very much. Your thoughts, Andrew?
No, I completely agree. The results season so far has been disappointing, and what we're seeing is analyst downgrades, and even if they're not downgrading, they're downgrading the share price target, which is the same thing to me. This, after the budget, I was just thinking, what's the catalyst for the market? I mean, great macro, nothing wrong with that, but nothing there for the banking sector in terms of helping them in their, gaining deposits or building up their deposit base. Therefore, NIMs remained under pressure, and with this RBI, paper today, it's just pouring a little bit more cold water on the banking sector, which is a huge weightage in the Nifty. So, I think it's going to be quite rotational in terms of the sectors that people are going to pick out, and also for stocks. So I don't think earnings is going to be the catalyst, Prashant, at all. So I think, if anything, at best, the market drifts lower and consolidates. I don't see a big fall, but at these kind of valuations, you need to have earnings growth ahead of expectations, not below expectations.
Andrew, hi, good morning. There is a lot of disenchantment after the budget, right, on the back of higher taxes, as was expected. I mean, if, the long-term capital gains tax was something that people were fearing for a very long time, and finally it came through. So there is, of course, that kind of disappointment. But do you think the impact is limited on the stock markets now, or do you expect to continue to see a lingering impact? Because taxes have been hiked across the board, not just in equities, but even in asset classes like real estate.
So I think there's two parts. The increase in long-term capital gains tax, I think, would be, normally absorbed by the market. So I don't think that's the worry. I think in terms of short-term capital gains tax, it could hit some of those favoured retail stocks which they've been trading in over the past few years. And of course, we still have to wait for the SEBI rules. So let's see what any regulations that come around that as well. But I think the concern for me is not the recent increases in capital gains tax, but the direction. I think that's the key, is the direction upwards and onwards going forward as well. And I think the message to me is, yes, it is. So I think that's something the market's going to have to work out going forward, because taxes is something that the government is clearly wanting to increase. And if I read all the kind of statements by the finance minister, the stock market's one of them.
So if, if one has to take a call now, right, on the markets for the rest of the year, what's the best way to approach it? Do you sit on cash waiting for that dip? Do you continue to deploy into some of these large cap, names? Do you stay away from mid caps? What's the best way to approach the market now?
So there's two parts to that. It's a great question in that I don't advise sitting on cash. I just think that, if our view is that the market should rise in line with earnings growth, and we're thinking about 15% this year, then up until, the budget, the market was up already since April 10%. So there's very little gain in the Nifty, that is. So I think the themes that play underneath the Nifty, and we talked about these before, are the ones where you should deploy your cash into the market. So I think it's going to be sector themes and individual company themes which will make you the most money this year. I don't think it's the Nifty.
Well, Andrew, good morning and good to see you. And last time around, England was doing quite well in the Euro Cup. I thought the next time we speak, you'll be champions. Did quite well, came very close, but unfortunately couldn't deliver the final blow out there. Maybe next time. Let's talk about markets. Since you're saying themes will work, what's the top theme you're bullish on from here on? That top sector that you believe will make money from here?
Yeah, well, first of all, Nigel, thanks for reminding me about the loss.
No, you played well till the finals, but I think outplayed by Spain at the end. Let's get to the markets.
Yes. I think there's two themes that I really kind of like going forward is the premiumization. I've talked about this before in beverages, and I think if you're going to play the kind of FMCG, kind of sector, then I think those companies, in the beverage sector, both alcohol and non-alcohol can continue to do well, and you're starting to see that in their results as well. So that's one, and I think hospitality in terms of hotels, I think is going to continue to pick up, and I think these are kind of early runway kind of stories which are going to play out over the next 2 to 3 years. So that's where I'd be looking at the two big themes. The one point I should have mentioned previously was that in terms of the market and our expectations, the one thing that we should look at is when we think the Federal Reserve is going to reduce interest rates. If it's September, then we could think about the RBI, later in the year, reducing rates as well. So the banking sector will come back at some point. I just don't think there's a catalyst right this second.
Okay, there's no catalyst right this second. Got that. Any other themes that stand out for you for the rest of the year, and anything that you would be cautious on right now?
So I'd be obviously cautious on the banks in the very short term because I think there's too many headwinds for them, and NIM's compression is still there. And I would, in the very short term, again, just be a little bit more wary on metals. I don't think China's stimulus is pushing it enough. So I just think those are the two sectors I'd be more wary of in the very short term. So probably, if you came out of the budget, the trade was long Nifty, short banks, and that's probably worked well for you.
Okay, all right, Andrew, thanks a lot for joining in. Wishing you a good day ahead and looking forward to chatting up with you in the coming weeks.